Hi, and welcome to Up Close. I'm Ann Houligard, and I'm very excited to have Ildi Lee here with us. You have 29 hobbies and professions. I got this off your website. Right. That's amazing.
Yes.
I want to read them all, but it would take 29 seconds to read. But let me read some of these.
All right.
You're a composer, a singer, a songwriter, recording artist, musician, arranger, costume designer, author, poet, entertainer, actress, motivational speaker, seminars, Toastmaster, hypnotherapist, journalist, I'm almost done, TV talk show host, linguist, French teacher, music teacher, artist, painter, computer graphic artist, photographer, director, producer, TV cameraman, film editor, designer, decorator, house builder. Well, our show's over. No, but truly, this is amazing, and I love how you listed them. 29 hobbies and professions. How is that? How?
Well, let me tell you this, the secret. I am 120 years old.
We know you're not. And this is so wonderful. I had the opportunity to listen to some of your music, and you brought some of your CDs in today.
Yes.
How long have you been writing songs? You wrote 400 songs?
400 songs in 3 languages.
What are the 3 languages?
Hungarian, because that was my native language. Hungarian, darling, but I don't slap policemen, darling.
That's good.
No, I pinch them.
Yes, instead.
And
in English, probably.
in English, of course,
yeah.
and in French.
And in French.
Right.
And you are from Hungary.
I was born in Hungary, raised in France. Okay. Hungarian mother, French father.
Okay. And I noticed on your website you were a refugee. You were there during a pretty bad time.
Oh, it was horrible.
Do you remember that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Really?
It was horrible.
What do you remember about it?
I didn't have toys to play. We played with pots and pans. There was no freedom. We could not talk. We had to whisper. And so when we got to the free countries, after we passed the Iron Curtain, we were still whispering. And my father said, "We don't have to whisper anymore. We can talk, finally."
That's
it was
amazing.
just, it was a relief.
And how did you get from Hungary to Paris? Was it difficult, or because your father was there, was it easier?
It was a little bit easier,
Yeah.
but we had to leave everything behind.
Oh, you did?
Everything. We only came with 1 suitcase, each of us.
Really?
But we were happy because we were free.
Do you remember that day packing and having to decide what was going to go in that suitcase?
I do. It was heart-wrenching to leave everything behind. Your friends, your home, your country, knowing that you never can go back again. Wow. But I could go back because the Iron Curtain was demolished, and now I can go back again.
Do you have contact with any of your friends or family from there?
Yes, of course.
Yeah?
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Oh, that's
it's
great.
fun to go. When I first went back to Budapest, it was a
celebration.
Celebration,
yeah.
yes. Firecrackers everywhere. And that reminded me of the revolution. And I was so scared and seeing all these people. And then I heard the Hungarian hymn, national anthem, and I just cried, and it was just so emotional.
So your heart is still there as well?
Absolutely,
yes.
Yeah.
Can never quite completely leave your home.
No. But my heart is here also because
Yeah.
I raised my kids in America, so I feel American.
Yeah. Well, you're from here. You've been living here in Palos Verdes for what, 15 years or
yes,
so?
Yes.
That's fantastic. Well, let's go back again. So you moved to Paris.
Yes.
And you went to school there?
I went to school there. After graduation, I went to law school for 2 semesters.
That was it?
That was it.
You were done.
Yes.
So you didn't make 30 professions on here?
No. Lawyer is not. My father is a lawyer. My brother is a lawyer. My husband is a lawyer.
How
so
interesting.
I can get away from those people. So I was going to be a lawyer, but thank God.
You're truly an artist.
Yes.
When did you first discover that you were going to be an artist and an entertainer?
Oh, that's an interesting question. My father bought me a guitar when I was a teenager, and I started to play guitar and right away rhymes, and I had to learn French when I went to France because.
Sure.
And so when I know 50 words, my first worry was about trying to rhyme those words.
Really?
Yes, so it was what we call a déformation professionnelle.
Which means?
Like a professional deformation. There's not really a good translation in English
it's
into
just
that.
Did you have influences? Were there songs or artists that influenced you in Paris?
That's a very good question. Yes, Charles Aznavour was my idol.
Okay.
I liked him very much, and I started to write my first song in his style.
Okay.
And
so you played his records all the time?
I did.
Drove
yes.
your parents crazy?
Oh yes, and of course I loved Elvis Presley, and I still love him.
Sure.
And I am doing an Elvis Presley imitation.
You are?
Yeah,
for what? For benefit or?
Yes, I'm working the kink out of it. But
are you going to be the first female impersonator?
I don't know.
We have to find that out.
In the end, but I'm working on that. So Elvis Presley was in my blood ever since, and of course we had the French Elvis Presley, Johnny Hallyday, who I got to know, and he inspired me very much to write. And
so when did you cut your first record? I mean, that was it folk music or what type of music?
No. I had two little braids
and
a little guitar.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
And I wrote my own songs. And those songs were very pure, very idealistic teenage stuff. But teenage stuff there were very different than today.
Oh, sure.
And so every mother's wish was for their little girl or daughter to grow up like that Hungarian girl with braids and the guitar and the television.
Oh, so you were on television?
Oh, a lot, yes.
Oh, a lot.
Yes.
So what, in France and in Switzerland as well? Or?
In Switzerland too, yes.
Later,
I had a little television show, not for long, just
now,
for summer.
When you go back, are you recognized? Do people say, oh, I remember?
Well, not anymore because I look very different today. But when I start to talk about my name, okay, they remember, yes, and that's fun.
What brought you to the United States?
My marriage.
Okay.
I got married.
You fell in love in Europe?
I fell in love in Europe with a handsome American lawyer, and it was in Munich. And I was doing a television in Munich, and I was an incognito. I had a dark wig. I wear lots of wigs like Cher. It saves my hair.
That's great. Yeah.
And so I had a dark wig not to be recognized because I was on television the night before, and I was performing with somebody who was very famous on her first part, Mireille, and I was on her first part. And so I met a young man and we danced, and the next day I had a performance and he was at the first row, and after he came to me to congratulate with a very bad French, and he said, "Vous chantez très jolie," which is totally not good.
What does it mean?
It should be, "Vous chantez très joliment." It means you sing beautifully. And so I said, "Yes, George," and he could not understand because I was singing blonde. And the night before I met him, incognito with the dark hair.
So
he just looked at me, he couldn't understand how I knew his name. And we went from there.
And you fell in love.
I fell in love.
That's great.
And the product is two beautiful children.
Yes, you were telling me earlier about your children, amazing. Your daughter, who's right now in Paris, but she's flying into the States.
Right now she's in the air.
She's in the air, so. But what does she do, and how proud are you of her?
Oh, I am so proud. And I saw you have an adorable little boy too. So you, as a mother, you can relate to those feelings. She's my joy and pride, of course, with my son together. And she was in a basketball team here when the basketball team was the winning team. We were #1 in the nation. The Palos Verdes High School.
Palos Verdes High School, good.
And
Carlos probably remembers that because he covers sports.
Oh, absolutely, yes. With Wendell, he was the coach.
That's
yes.
Great.
And so after that, she went to Oxford for a year to study at the university.
Really?
And she was on the a national team of rugby, and she made the All-American team. Yes, and then she was in Greece right now. She was the only person in America who was on the Olympic team. They have a pre-Olympic team to figure out what to do, and she does some journalism on the side too. And she's doing her PhD right now.
Sounds like her mom a little bit.
So, don't ask me to talk about my daughter.
Because that's another show.
Two more hours.
That's great, though. So she's very successful.
She's very successful.
Yeah, yes. That's great.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, I bet. And your son is doing well as well?
Oh, he's doing very well. And my son he's a very intellectual. When he was a little boy, he was reading the encyclopedia, I'm not kidding you, from cover to cover.
Oh,
I mean, it was just scary. His
amazing
mind was just scary.
Wow.
And he's very intellectual, and he is in Reed College right now,
okay.
Graduating, hopefully.
Oh, that's great. Good. And now he can go on the internet for the encyclopedia. He doesn't have to carry those around anymore.
Well, he carried it here,
I
which was
remember
scary.
encyclopedias. I'm thinking every garage sale I go to now, you see these encyclopedias.
That's true.
You don't need them anymore. Right. It's all on the computer, which is great.
Times are changing.
Well, they really are.
Fast.
Let's talk more about you. I thought it was really fascinating. We were also talking earlier about your mom.
Yes.
And she had a very hard time with her health. And you actually made a huge difference in the healing and transforming her health. Tell me a little bit about that, and where does that come from with you? Is it something that you studied, or is it something that's just that you were born with?
Healing and vitamins and nutrition and health was always a very important part of my life. So I've been reading and studying all along, going to conferences and really reading a lot of material. And when my doctor called me to come to Paris, because he said my mom has very little time left, she was stricken with Alzheimer's and she was really deteriorating very fast. She was in a wheelchair. She didn't know when I arrived who I was. And I decided I am not going to settle for losing my mom. I packed her up and I talked to the airplane, and the doctor said, you understand that she might die in the airplane? And I said, doctor, do you think she's going to die anyway? He says, yes. I said, okay, so whether she dies in the airplane or at home, at least she'll have a chance to make it to California. And she did. We made it to California, and after 3 months of intensive therapy, physical, spiritual, mental, a total therapy, we threw away her wheelchair.
Oh my goodness.
She walked 1 mile a day, and her memory returned slowly with a lot of patience, a lot of love. And her memory was better than mine at the end of the 3 months.
That's amazing.
So, fortunately, I taped everything with a camera, because I knew in my mind that I was going to bring her back. I just knew it, and the doctor said it's not possible. When the mind is gone that far, it's not possible, there's no return. And somehow, I don't know how it works, the neurons, there's a bridge that they bridged over the dead part. I don't understand what was going on, but something happened.
Right.
And it's like a miracle.
Yeah, it is like a miracle. You hear these stories, and I know you're not a doctor, and, but do you think that the profession has a long way to go with some of the other disciplines, like the spiritual and the mental, along with the physical healing?
Definitely, and they understand that.
And they're starting to do
They're
that.
starting to understand, but it's a very, very difficult field because it's so easy. Where do you draw the line? There's all these quacks out there who take advantage of this. And so you have to be very, very careful.
Right, of course.
In this field,
Yeah.
very careful.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story that would happen with you. And you do lecture about this, about healing, and I know you do some lectures about
I do some lectures,
sort of
yes.
inspirational
Inspirational,
lectures.
self-improvement.
Okay, and what do you usually teach on those? What are some of the subjects and some of the goals that you have for people?
Well, basically to believe in yourself. Basically, my philosophy is that we have a wonderful instrument, which is our mind. Everybody out there. we only use 10% of it. Darn it, only 10%. So I'm trying to use 15 or 20%. And what I am doing, everybody can do if you learn how to use the unused part of your brain. That's the key.
And what are some of the secrets, some of the tips to do that?
First of all, you have to be very aware of who you are and what you are. Because if you're not sure of yourself, you cannot develop yourself. So there are several ways to find happiness, to find balance. First, you build what's inside of you. And then you can start to grow and build outside. That's basically, and it's very important to believe in yourself, to good self-image. If you love yourself, it's so much easier to love others because the love overflows and it continues. And many people say, how can I love myself? This is selfish. Well, selfish people don't love themselves. That's why they're selfish, that's why they want to accumulate things, that's why they're taking from others because they don't love themselves. When you love yourself, you want to share everything.
Become selfless.
Absolutely, and that's what love is all about. So love is probably the number one importance in everything we do.
Well, yeah, and that's great. The thing you were also talking about earlier is being, you know, sort of organized and having a discipline, a goal and a discipline.
Right.
I noticed a chart on your paperwork about having a goal and all the different things that went toward it. I thought that was really fascinating. And anyone with 29 hobbies and profession has to be pretty organized.
Yes.
So what thoughts do you have on that? How do you, like, what is a typical day in your life? You know, how do you sort of strategize your day?
Every night before going to bed, and I am teaching that also to everybody to make a list. It turns out that successful people do have lists, and unsuccessful people don't have lists. They say, oh, I remember, I can remember that, and we don't. The truth is we don't remember. We think you do, but we don't. So number one is to force yourself to make a list, and the next day is such a good feeling to cross out.
Check them off.
Oh,
it is a good
wonderful. And when you don't accomplish your goals, what I want people to do, and I'm doing it also, is to exactly copy it for the next day.
So roll them over.
Have the discipline. Okay, I didn't do it. Now I'm going to pain over it, and I'm going to redo my list for the next day. It's very important. So day-to-day lists, long-term lists, short-term lists. That's very, very, very important. And also I do a technique called clustering. I have a goal. I have so many goals. So let's see, just in writing. I put writing in the middle, and then I have little arrows going around with all the sub-goals. And then the steps to those sub-goals. So I have almost like pyramids going in different directions, and that's what I call clustering.
So your main goal is writing, but as long as you're doing some part of that, working toward it, that would be achieving your goal.
Absolutely. And when you have goals, if you, every day, you don't diligently work on that goal, then it means that it's really not important to you. That's you're fooling yourself.
That's an interesting thing. So you have a reality check at some point and say, gee, this has been on my list for a few months. Maybe I need to take it off my list.
Exactly.
Maybe I don't really want to do it.
Right. Or figure out why. What stops you from doing it. There are roadblocks. And there are stepping stones in life. And I am teaching that also in my seminars, all the roadblocks and all the stepping stones. And when you eliminate the roadblocks of your life, or turn, for instance, fear is one major roadblock. If you learn to turn fear into excitement, into adventure, that's wonderful. That's what we want to do.
That's great.
Turn roadblocks into stepping stones.
That's great. Well, you're obviously very positive, and you know whatever you're doing is definitely working for you. So I think it's great that you want to share that with other people.
Yes.
What would you say is your general philosophy in life? I mean, how do you always have a positive outlook? Is it because of maybe some of your background, you think?
Absolutely. It's my dad. My dad was a wonderfully positive man. He's a man who, he was a lawyer and practiced in 3 countries. He spoke 8 languages. And he lost his right arm in the war. He was in the Yugoslavian army that time, even though we were Hungarians, against Germany. Right. And the Germans got his, so he lost, here's a lawyer, a young lawyer, and he has no right hand. But I never felt that my father was handicapped in any way. He compensated so much in so many areas, and he loved people. He was not bitter for what happened to him. He had such a tremendous love. I remember one time a man came to his office. He walked 30 miles because he could not afford the train, and it was a very complicated matter that he
case,
that was the word I was looking for. And in the end, my father didn't charge him anything. Not only that, but he put in from his pocket, he gave him money to take the train back home. And his friend, who was a very high official at the time, said, "Are you crazy? I mean, you can't do business like this. You're giving your money away instead of getting money from your clients. And who's going to pay for this?" And my father said, "You, my dear." And all the people who can. Yeah. So he had a very interesting philosophy. He helped the poor and shared. Yeah, and probably got a lot in return. Oh, tremendously. So that's a great lesson. Well, I mean, this is a strange transition, but I can't let the time go by without talking about your beautiful home that you, well, not only your home, but the one you transformed that was recently in the raffle for the PV Art Center. Right. Yeah. Now, is this the first house that you've redone and designed? Oh, no, and I've done probably 7 homes already. One from scratch. Oh, really? 5,000 square foot home from scratch that was featured in the American Kickboxer 2 films and many magazines. Yes. That's great. Yes. So was it in the film? The home was in the film? Yes, yes. Actually, I had 3 different scenes from the home. I had the library, which is a 2-story high library, a beautiful fireplace the library was in, the pool area, wonderful pool area with Catalina Island in the background, gorgeous. Oh, that's great. And the living room.
Uncle Francis.
Lillian, is that you? You sound a bit out of sorts.
Uncle Francis, I need $1 million of company funds. Will you co-sign?
$1 million? You are really out of sorts.
Will you do it?
Lillian, are you out of your mind?
I'm not out of my mind.
Yes, yes, Lillian. What do you need the money for?
It's for Susie. She's been kidnapped and they want $1 million in cash.
Oh, that's terrible news.
You do it.
We'll talk about it.
Talk about it, Francis. I need it.
I said we'll talk about it. Come to the house tomorrow evening. Arnaldo, please don't move.
Uncle Francis, stop beating around the bush. Will you co-sign or not?
$20 million.
I can't swing that.
Oh, yes, you can. Your husband's a very clever man. He can think of something.
Might have to sell the house, restructure the company.
Oh, come on. We sell plumbing supplies. What kind of restructuring do we need?
We will do whatever it takes.
I'll draw up the papers tonight. We'll bring the money over tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Arnaldo, what am I going to do with you?
Oh, please hurry, Uncle Francis. Howard is waiting for me at the bank and you have a lot of papers to go over.
Where do I sign?
You haven't even looked at them yet.
I don't need to. I trust you.
Here. I always loved you, Francis.
Then why is it I don't feel it?
Because you don't love yourself.
And is that the house you're living in now?
That was the house I lived before.
And now and then you sold that.
I sold
and this
that.
house for the raffle, you showed me before pictures.
Yes.
Which is really amazing. Was it built in the 50s or so?
Probably, yes.
Here it is, this, this home on prime piece of property, all overlooking the ocean, and there's not one window that is looking at the ocean.
What were
it's like
they
a
thinking?
fortress, I know.
Duh.
So here you literally, I don't know, it almost looks like you gutted it, but you obviously completely transformed it into this mansion. I mean, it really is. And everybody in the world really tried to get it in the raffle. That raffle went international.
Absolutely, yes.
Which is amazing.
Yes.
And
even in France.
The person who won took the money. I would have taken the house. So the house is still there.
Yes, and probably next year we're going to Art Center will do the same again.
Such a great idea.
It's a wonderful idea, yes.
It's sort of like a dream to... I interviewed a lot of people at the raffle, and it was so heartwarming because they really were people that, just like people that, probably try for the lottery, but people from all over our community of Los Angeles who didn't have a home, who had a huge family and, had always dreamed of a home. So it was really a dream. Hundreds gathered at the Avenue of the Peninsula in Rolling Hills Estates in the hope of being a winner.
Oh, we can't afford to be here, so this is the only way we can get here.
It's a good dream to have a house.
I haven't decided whether to take the house or the money.
Did you ever live in this house? And tell me a little bit about how this idea came for your house to be raffled off this exciting day.
Oh, in fact, I am a European designer, and no, I didn't live in a house. This house is a quote-unquote spec house, but it's a love house because I did it with all my love and all my creativity, and I'm so glad that it's for such a great cause.
The media have been very, very generous to us, both the printed and electronic media, and so we've gotten our message out to a very, very large audience. I'm hoping that down the road, not too many years from now, we're going to have an art center that will become a major attraction to the peninsula, and we can build on that.
Her brother with the good news.
The Art Center really did something wonderful, give people the possibility to dream, the possibility to say, hey, I could never afford a house like that, but maybe so. Hope is very important in life.
I want to talk a little bit before we run out of time about your poetry, which was also on your website, and we'll have the website number up if someone would like to look at your website, which is very interesting. A couple of the poems, there was one on domestic violence, Born in the Shadows. I love this. This is another poem, Born in the Shadows of extermination camps, and that was about your childhood, I'm assuming.
Right.
Very, very sad.
We lived through.
Did you actually see the camps at all, or do you remember?
No, but I heard so many stories.
You did.
We lived through Hitler, and we lived through the communism. So it was very devastating.
Yeah. And
my family had tremendous assets before, and we lost everything during the war, and so it's very sad. But lives change because of some mad men decided so.
Yeah. It's just horrible. And the domestic violence poem was very touching. You have a lot of, we only have a few minutes left, can you believe that? I just got a signal, a few minutes left. But you have a lot of causes that you feel strongly about. I know you were talking also about a poem that you wrote about violence.
Yes, kids killing kids, and the media responsibility in all this, because we do have responsibility. We have parental responsibility. There is social responsibility for our kids, and there's media responsibility, and this is very, very important. And when the media is feeding our kids the dreams of some paranoid movie makers, that makes me very angry when there is this very violent, graphic violence on television, or degrading sex. Sex could be so beautiful. Why do degrade it? The children have to learn the beauty, not degradation. And that really makes me angry. So I wrote an angry poem, and it's on the website. You can go and...
Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, that's how they express themselves, and that's how what our country's kind of. And then what's so wonderful is you get to express yourself about how you feel about it, which is important for you to do. Absolutely. And then I also thought it was such a great idea about your TV sitcom idea.
Oh.
About a Hungarian woman with total a fish out of water sort of comedy. I just think it's really funny, housewife. So that was also very nice. Well, for heaven's sakes, we're pretty much out of time.
Oh, well, when two minds meet, it's very, time just flies. You are yourself a Renaissance woman. I went on your website and I was very impressed. So I think when two very creative people meet, and I don't know, I wanted to talk a little bit about your play, which was unbelievable.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Talented.
But this is about you. So.
All right.
But I appreciate it, I really do.
So I think...
So anything coming up that we can look forward to? Or
well,
you're always doing things. So
always, yes.
Just check the website, right? You'll update it and tell us what you're doing.
But my main thing is I am writing a book about this house. And the title is The Mystery of the Marne Manor, because the street is Marne Street, where the house is.
All right, good.
And so hopefully the book
So you're writing a mystery.
I am writing a mystery, a murder mystery.
A whodunit.
A whodunit,
so
yes.
So don't say who did it. No.
Well, actually,
I have to read the book.
It's not really a murder. It looks like a murder, but it's not really a murder. It's very clever.
Like a psychological drama. That sounds wonderful. I look forward to it.
It has many surprises. And also, I am writing about Palos Verdes. I am describing all the main monuments and the main interests in Palos Verdes. It's going to be fun to read it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
And thank you very much.
And best
you
of
are
luck.
a delightful person and very, very interesting.
Thank you.
Talking was really great.
It went quick. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.